Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Nintendo/gaming video for this week, for the week of November 7th to the 13th. No video game review for this week, though. There was some stuff I had to do at work. For those who are wondering, I worked down at Camp Pendleton and all, and we were celebrating the Marine Corps' birthday and all. So that kind of sort of ate through any attempt to do a video game review for this week, though. But so for next, I'm hoping to have one next week. But for this week, I won't have one, though. But other than that, though, I do want to say I hope all of you enjoyed, had a wonderful Veterans Day, though. And a salute to our fighting men and women in uniform, regardless of what branch of the armed services that you are serving on, though. And we got basically 4 stories to cover. Fourth one is I want to give my thoughts on the 1-year anniversary of the Xbox Series X and S, preferably the Xbox Series S, as that's the system I have. But we also are going to cover Miyamoto making a comment of what the next 3D Mario game might be like. The PS5 could be on its way to being hacked, though, and an interesting rumor pointing out to the possibility that Rockstar and Nintendo might be working together to a certain degree, though. And if you're interested in where I got the information for a lot of these the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, we will do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents. Stories that somewhat caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one is that Hideki Kamiya have recently made a comment saying that he would love to do an Okami sequel someday, to be exact, though. Personally, I would love if he's able to do a sequel to Okami, though, but given the rights are now owned by Capcom, I'm not really I have my doubts if that will ever happen, though. Maybe Platinum and Capcom could work out some sort of deal to make it happen, though, but time will ultimately tell whether that will ever happen or not. If it does, though, I would love to see it come to the Nintendo Switch. I definitely would be down if they would bring the sequel to Okami to the Nintendo Switch, though. We also learned that rumors are going around that a spotting for Final Fantasy Tactics might be getting a remaster treatment, though. Supposedly this was spotted on, I believe, a Steam storefront. I'm not 100% sure, though. No word if it would be coming to any other system or not, though. I'm hoping that's the case, and being a Nintendo fan myself, though, I'm hoping that it does come to the Nintendo Switch should that happen, but for right now, it is considered a rumor at this time. We also learned that Sega has trademarked the name Sonic Frontiers. Some people are suspecting that this could be the Sonic Ranger, that little teaser trailer that they showed, which is supposedly going to be like an open world Sonic game, though. I'm hoping it does well, but after what I saw with Sonic Colors, a game that was originally released on the Wii, and how there were issues, including how it ran on the Nintendo Switch, I'm very, very concerned about Sonic. I'm very concerned about the next Sonic game, though. I mean, it's possible it could be good, but I have my concerns about that game, though. We also learned that details have come out about the DLC for Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, though. It's very nice that this game is getting some love and all that, though. I'm glad that it's gaining more attention. I'm glad they port the game over to the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a good game, especially for those who are into, Skyrim and all that, though. I'm curious to when we'll hear about curious to see if the DLCs are going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, the Switch version, though. I'm hoping it does, though, but we'll have to wait and see, though. We also learned about basically how many players have played Forza Horizon 5 at this time, though, and according to what Game Radar is reporting, it basically has surpassed 4.5 million players worldwide, though, which definitely means that the game is off to a very good start indeed. That's really good, though, and it certainly has been talked about possibly being contender for Game of the Year, and I'll be very curious to see if that does happen, though. I haven't tried it out yet. We'll have to download it through Xbox Game Pass and try it out myself. I'm not a big racing fan, though, but being that it's going to be on Game Pass, it's definitely one I would definitely keep an eye out, though. We also learned that the game Back 4 Blood will have a roadmap in terms of what content will be offered. Some of it will be supposedly free, but there has been talks about including co-op mode and solo progression. So I'm very curious about that solo progression part, considering that supposedly Back 4 Blood is sort of like a spiritual successor towards Left 4 Dead and also. And we do know it's available on Game Pass, but I am curious to see how long it will be on Game Pass, to be exact though. We also heard that the head of Nintendo, Mr. Fukuhara, I apologize if I'm not saying his name correctly, is saying that the Switch is here to stay and that it's currently in its mid-life cycle and all. There's no doubt the Switch is continuing to sell very well, though. I do wonder how long Nintendo can keep the momentum going with the Nintendo Switch. And as far as their next system goes, I still think Nintendo is going to stick with the Switch concept. I still think it's going to be really difficult for them to go back to the days of having just a console and a handheld. I really don't think that's going to be very hard for them to go back to that, though. But as far as saying the Switch is here to stay, it doesn't surprise me, though. I agree that Nintendo Switch is probably going to be with us for a long time, though. Though I do expect that we'll probably see Nintendo will eventually release a more powerful Switch, though. We also learned that the Steam Deck that was supposed to come out this December has now been delayed and has been pushed back to, I believe, February 2022. This has to do with the whole global supply chain, which doesn't really surprise me at all, as that's one of the many factors of people having a hard time finding some of these consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Some of that is the bots and the scalpers, but the supply chain is definitely one of the factors, though. So a bit disappointing for those who are looking forward to getting the Steam Deck this holiday, though. But it says that those who pre-ordered it are certainly going to get it in February, though I'm curious to see after February, assuming the Steam Deck comes out, whether or not those who are thinking about getting it are still going to be able to find it, though. And it might be difficult given, again, the whole supply chain issue, to be exact, though. We also learned that the developers of the Yeats and the Trial Cold Steel series are now basically going to be developing Switch versions of their games in-house, which certainly isn't bad or anything like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of going to a port house to handle like different versions or anything like that, provided that it's a port house that could do it right and all. I mean, for every game, like what Panic Button does in terms of porting Doom and Doom Eternal, we've seen what Blind Squirrel has done with WWE 2K, I think 2K20, and how that played, or I think 2K like 18 or 19, and we saw how that played out, though. But we've also seen developers who have developed a Switch version in-house, like what we saw with Metro, the Retro remakes, Metro Last Light and Metro 2024, to even the recent release of Dying Light, though. So, I mean, this may not be a bad thing, and we've seen Famicom really sort of dig into the Nintendo Switch more and more, considering at the time they were hesitant, but seeing how well the Switch has done, it seems as though they are more open to developing Switch now more than ever, which certainly isn't a bad thing. More developers, the better and all. We also learned that a report from Emily Rogers, or a tweet from her, has claimed that supposedly Metroid Prime 1, which is being remade, is a remake though, is wrapped up development over the summer, though. Again, nothing has been confirmed this time, and it's still considered a rumor. That said, pending if this rumor is true, though, I am still kind of mixed on this, though. While I'm not completely against the idea of the Metroid Prime series getting a remake, though, I can't help but feel it would have been better if they just ported the Metroid Prime trilogy over to the Nintendo Switch, like what they did on the Wii and all, how they ported all three of the Metroid games onto for the Nintendo Wii and all. And also, I really am kind of mixed on this, but like anything, it is a rumor to be exact at this time, though, so take it with a grain of salt. We also learned that Metroid Dread basically had the best opening here in the US, though. According to what I've been hearing, some of the numbers are ranging about like around 850,000 copies, though. I think some of that might be a mixture of digital and possibly physical, though. If that's the case, that's a really great opening for this game, though. So I'm glad it's doing very well. I've been playing it though. Really good game. I definitely could see this in the Game of the Year contender, to be exact though. And I do think to some extent this is going to put pressure on retro studios to really deliver with Metroid Prime 4 and all. Again, we haven't seen what Metroid Prime 4 looks like. I'm going to give Retro Studio the benefit of the doubt though. But given how some of the old guard has kind of sort of left, some of them, not all, but some of them have left Retro Studios though and have moved on or done something else though, it does make me a little bit worried with Metroid Prime 4 though. But time will ultimately tell. We'll have to wait to see until they show what Metroid Prime 4 looks like. But if assuming this is all correct, these are definitely good numbers for Metroid Dread though. I'm great to see this game's getting had a strong month in October, assuming this is all correct. And in the non-gaming part though, last but certainly not least, the final trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife has been released though, and honestly, I am looking forward to this movie next week, though. It's basically I'm seeing nostalgia come out of it, and that's great. I've been a fan. I grew up playing Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the 80s, though. So this is definitely high on my list. I'm hoping it delivers, to be exact. I know some people had some issues with Ghostbusters 2016, though. I haven't seen that movie, though, but I really could care less whether you liked it or not. If you did, great. If you didn't, fine. Everyone has their own view on it though. But either way though, Ghostbusters Afterlife is definitely on my radar. I hope it is well worth the wait, even if this is the last time we're going to see some of the original cast from the Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part now officially done, we'll get started with our first story. And this one has to do with Rockstar and Nintendo. Now, when you think of Rockstar, some of the names that pop into your head are games like Max Payne, Manhunt, Red Dead series, like Red Dead Redemption and all. But probably the one game that I think pops into a lot of people's head that Rockstar is known for is, of course, the Grand Theft Auto series. This is a series that is both popular, but has also been marred in controversies during the early 2000s. It had to do with the whole issue of violence in video games and all. But either way, it has its devoted fans, though. And even to this day, GTA 5 still continues to sell very well. Although some people were not happy when they showed the trailer for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S version, because most people felt like it really didn't offer any enhancements and all. So there's a reason why people dislike that though. But we'll have to wait and see what happens when that version comes out though. And of course, recently the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition has just been out, and the response has been sort of mixed at best. Some people are okay with the approach they did with the remasters, others are not happy about it though. I've tried a little bit of it, especially with Vice City on the Nintendo Switch, and it certainly isn't bad or anything like that, but I can see how some people might have issues with it if you came from playing GTA 5 to playing this, compared to those who were around in the early 2000s during the PS2 era when these games were released, well before the whole over-the-shoulder third-person view like what we saw with Resident Evil 4 and all. So, but in either way, the game's out. I still gotta try those games out, to be exact. But in terms of Rockstar supporting Nintendo in any way, they've been sort of, shall we say, spotty at best though. They have supported the Switch with games, or shall I say, support Nintendo systems with games like Bully Scholarship Edition to Manhunt 2, but not really a huge amount of support, to be exact. Other than some games here and there. Even the Switch got a port of L.A. Noire, which came over to the Nintendo Switch though. But as far as GTA goes, it's mostly been confined to basically the handheld systems, particularly with games like the first Grand Theft Auto being ported over to the Game Boy Color. Game Boy Advance got a copy of GTA, such as Grand Theft Auto Advance. And of course, the most famous one is GTA Chinatown Wars, which was ported over to the Nintendo DS and came out around the same time that Grand Theft Auto 4 came out for the PS3 and Xbox 360. Sadly, however, supposedly the game didn't sell as well as some folks had hoped for, and it's one of the reasons why the game was ported over to the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, though. Well, obviously, recently, the GTA Definitive Edition has been released on the Nintendo Switch, but supposedly a rumor popping up, though, has seemed to be pointing to the possibility that Nintendo and Rockstar might be working on something in terms of getting some of those games over, some of their library of games over to the Nintendo Switch. Now, granted, this is a rumor, so we cannot 100% confirm this information to be correct or not, so it's worth taking this with a grain of salt. That being said, though, we've seen impossible games come to the Nintendo Switch. Games like Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein 2, and games like Witcher 3 Wild Hunt have made their way over to the Nintendo Switch. It may not be the version that everybody wants, though, but it's still amazing that they are able to bring those games over to the Nintendo Switch nevertheless. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility that this could actually happen, though. So, but still, take this rumor with a grain of salt nevertheless. In the article posted on by Game Rant, it reads that, quote, leaker Samus Hunter 2 shared some interesting information on Twitter Friday, supposedly last week, morning. The leaker claimed to have heard from one of their sources that Nintendo was working with Rockstar to port its Rage game engine to the Nintendo Switch. While it's not an official confirmation of any specific game being ported to the platform, enabling the Rage engine on Switch would allow Rockstar to bring multiple different games to the platform, though. Just an example, Samus Hunter 2 listed Rockstar Rage engine games. They include both Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, both Red Dead Redemption games, racing game Midnight Club, as well as classic Max Payne 3. Theoretically, if Rockstar was able to get the Rage engine right on the Nintendo Switch, all these games could potentially be ported to the platform. Of course, Rockstar would certainly be very selective of what it invests development time into, though. One thing to keep in mind is that just because the Switch runs an engine doesn't mean it can run a game. Both GTA 5 as well as Grand Theft Auto Online and Red Dead Redemption 2 could demand more hardware performance than the Nintendo Switch is able to put out. That will limit the Switch to older games. That doesn't make the possibility of the original Red Dead Redemption or GTA 4 on Switch any less exciting, though. Another possibility is that support for the Rage engine on Switch as well as follow-up game development would be just enough time for Nintendo to release its often rumored Nintendo Switch 2, a more powerful Nintendo Switch capable of running GTA 5, and maybe even Grand Theft Auto Online would be a very lucrative effort, though. That's getting very far ahead of the situation. However, for the time being, Rockstar supporting its Rage engine on the Nintendo Switch is just a rumor, and even if it's true, that doesn't mean Rockstar will actually port any of its games to the Switch in its games in the future. And just to give you an idea what the leaker said, and this comes from Samus Hunter, this is what this leaker had to say. Quote, "This is information that was given to me by an outside source that I have, but it has been proven correct on some previous information. Apparently, Nintendo is working with Rockstar to adapt its Rage engine on the Switch to bring new games to it. It's not the GTA trilogy." This person did a follow-up saying, quote, "Titles developed with Rage engine, GTA 4 and 5, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, Midnight Club, Max Payne 3. As a personal speculation, I think the first title might be Red Dead Redemption." Now, as I said before, granted, all this information needs to be taken with a grain of salt, to be exact, though. That said, though, assuming this rumor is true, it's very interesting to see if Rockstar and Nintendo is going to work together to see if they could bring some of Rockstar's games over to the Nintendo Switch. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see something like Red Dead Redemption 2 or GTA 5 come to the Nintendo Switch. I certainly would not be against that. That said, I still have some doubts on the idea that Red Dead Redemption would come to the Nintendo Switch, despite the fact that there were rumors out there, the possibility of it coming, because one of the person pointed out that they saw a control scheme that looked like the Switch Pro controller supposedly was leaked, though, although some speculate that could be just for the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 2, though. But like I said before, though, we've seen impossible ports come to the Nintendo Switch that no one thought in a million years could make its way over. Games like Doom, Doom Eternal, and basically Wolfenstein 2 and Witcher 3 Wild Hunt have made their way to the Nintendo Switch. Like I said, they may not be the version for everyone out there, but they're not bad ports depending on who's handling it, though. And let's not forget, L.A. Noire was ported over, like I mentioned, to the Nintendo Switch, and that was handled by Virtuos, a port house that handles Switch's ports as well. So it may not be impossible for some of these games to come over. I mean, it's possible Rockstar may have a port house like Panic Button or Virtuos or Iron Galaxy handle these ports, though. I mean, I could see something like Red Dead Redemption coming to the Nintendo Switch. I could see GTA 4 and 5 make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. I know a lot of people think 5 couldn't, but bear in mind 5 did start it out on the PS3, so it's certainly, and the 360, so certainly it's not out of the realm of possibility that those games could make their way over to the Nintendo Switch, though. Max Payne 3, I could see that happening as well. Same with Midnight Club. So a lot of these games are not out of the realm of possibility that Rockstar could bring over to the Nintendo Switch. But like anything, it is a rumor, so you need to be very careful with these kind of rumors. So overall, though, this is a very interesting rumor. Nevertheless, though, we'll have to wait and see if this one turns out to be true or not, to be exact. If it is true, I do hope we see these games come to the Nintendo Switch. I wouldn't mind Rockstar bringing over some of these games, though. I still have some doubts about Red Dead Redemption 2. As much as I would love to see that game come to the Nintendo Switch, I'm just not 100% sure that's going to happen. I think you have a better chance seeing the first Red Dead Redemption than Red Dead Redemption 2 coming over. But still, like I said, we've seen impossible ports before come to the Nintendo Switch, so I can't rule anything out at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and we're going to be talking about this one about the possibility that the PS5 may have been hacked. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the PS5, particularly a situation that seems to be pointing towards that the system could be on its way to being hacked. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if this turns out to be true and all. I mean, we've seen reports of people who've hacked, video game consoles and all. I mean, hell, I remember a couple of years ago, the Nintendo Switch was kind of hacked, and honestly, it doesn't surprise me, though. Even if a company like Nintendo revises the Switch and look at ways to prevent hackers from hacking into it, though, there's always going to be someone that's going to find a way to hack their Nintendo Switch. Hell, I've seen people hack like their Nintendo 3DS and all, though. So to hear this isn't really that shocking in any way. In an article from Game Radar, it reads that, quote, a PS5 jailbreak might be on the way as a group of hackers claim to have decrypted the PS5 allowing for significant future changes to the console. Fail Overflow, a hacking group that also found its way into the PS3 several years ago, recently tweeted what they claimed are PS5 root keys, tools hackers can use to decrypt files. With the root keys available, users could attempt to reverse engineer the console software, making exploits accessible and allowing unsigned and unauthorized codes to run the system. A second incident over the weekend saw another Sony hacker suggested that he had managed to access the debug setting normally only available to developers on a retail PS5. This individual said he has no plans to distribute his method, however. failed overflow hasn't explained its workings either, but the group does say it won't be easy for Sony to close the potential vulnerability, though. In response to a Query, Query, on Twitter asking whether the root keys can be rotated easily, the group simply replies no. These steps are significant, but they don't mean that the PS5 has been entirely broken open. It's possible Sony will take action to fix the leak if that's not the case. However, these hacks could eventually result in the console being fully jailbroken, which could have significant consequences down the line. When the PS3 was jailbroken, users were able to copy games from their disc to the console's hard drive, downgrade their system software, and run emulated software, although the practice is unauthorized. So the fact that someone is close to breaking, hacking the PS5 isn't really shocking at all. Hell, I mean, I think I've seen people hack, like the Xbox Series X and S, and to run emulators on it, though. Again, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan of hacking the systems or anything like that, but for those who want to do it, that's their call, but they also risk the possibility if something goes wrong with their system and they try to get it repaired through customer service, there's a good chance they're not going to take it because you hacked the system, plus that could damage your warranty in the process, though. But it really shouldn't come to a surprise that this is the case, though. Obviously, is Sony going to do what they can to prevent this from happening with others, with their consoles and all? Of course, they're going to find ways to fix it, though, but at the same time, like I said before, hackers are going to find a way to figure a way around it, though. We've seen this with the Switch, we've seen this with Xbox Series S and X, and so the fact that the PS5 is next on some of these hackers' lists isn't really that shocking at all. So overall, I'm not surprised that some folks are trying to figure out a way if they can hack the PS5, though. I'm not a big fan of this approach, though, but I'm not entirely shocked to see this happen. After all, the Switch was hacked, to be exact, though, and I'm sure there are those that are going to figure out a way to hack, the Switch OLED as well. So this really shouldn't surprise anyone. I'm not encouraging this kind of practice, and I certainly don't support it, but I'm not entirely surprised to hear about this at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with Miyamoto making some comments in regards of what the next 3D Mario game might be like. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, though, I do want to be taking a look at a recent comment made in regards of Mario's next adventure and all. Now, obviously, for many people, Mario is one of the most iconic video game characters. To me, I view him as iconic as, say, like what Mickey Mouse is to Disney, Bugs Bunny is to Warner Brothers, and characters like Scooby-Doo and his games, Jetsons, Footstones, Yogi Bear are to the Hanna-Barbera brand, though. So to me, I view basically Mario on that level. And to me, I've been a Mario fan for a long time. From the days I remember playing the original Super Mario Brothers to this day, I still consider Super Mario Brothers 3 the greatest video game of all time. I know some will disagree with me on that, but I stand behind that. And its 3D outings are not that bad either, though. While I still view Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 3D World, which got a recent re-release, though, as I consider them the black sheep of the 3D Mario games, I still think they're good nevertheless, though. They are enjoyable. They're just, to me, not as good as, say, Super Mario 64 was, or Super Mario Galaxy 1 or 2, or the recent release Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. I still consider those games good, just as I view a lot of the 2D Mario games. Like the new Super Mario Bros. Series, still think they're good, just not on the level as Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World, to be exact. Well, recently, in an interview, or recently during a fiscal earnings report, it seems as though we might have an idea of sort of the direction Nintendo might take the next entry into the Mario games, particularly after seeing the reaction to 2017's Super Mario Odyssey. In an article posted by, I'm going to get it out, posted by Video Game Chronicles. It reads, quote, "Speaking during a Q&A following the publication of its latest financial results last week, Miyamoto said that the success of Super Mario Odyssey has made it clear that the company was succeeding in its attempt to make 3D Mario games playable by a larger audience. When asked about the difference between 2D and 3D Mario games, Miyamoto explained that the new Super Mario Bros. 3 was designed to create a Mario game that was accessible to players of all skill levels because of the 3D games weren't at the time. Let me explain by describing the background for the development of Wii games New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which was released in 2009, Miyamoto said. At the time, I felt like each time we created a new installment in the Super Mario series, which by then had expanded into 3D, it became more complicated. After the release of Super Mario Galaxy in 2007, the goal was to develop a more accessible 3D Super Mario game, and the result was New Super Mario Bros. Wii, a basic side-scrolling Super Mario game that even new players could easily play. That later led to the release of even simpler Super Mario Run game, a mobile application released in 2016. When we develop software, we strive to incorporate new elements, but at the same time, we want to make it easy for first-time players to have fun. Recently, people of all generations have been enjoying the 3D Mario game Super Mario Odyssey, released in 2017. So for 3D Marios going forward, we want to try to expand further in new ways. With nearly 22 million titles sold to date, Super Mario Odyssey is the best-selling 3D Mario game by a significant margin. The second best is Super Mario Galaxy, which sold 12.8 million. So the fact that they want to expand upon what was in Super Mario Odyssey, to me, it's not necessarily bad. I'm all down for that, though. Super Mario Odyssey was a good game, though. But at the same time, I also would like to see them, if they're going to expand upon that, to provide some difficulty to the game, though. I think I definitely enjoyed games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Those games were definitely challenging and definitely pushed your platforming skills, to be exact. So for me, I would like to see them still provide some challenge, still make it accessible for newcomers and all. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong to appeal to casual players, to be exact, but still provide some sort of challenge to it. I'm a believer of games that are easy to use and easy to understand, but provide some sort of challenge, though. I'm not asking for a Mario game to be on the level of, say, a Dark Souls difficulty or anything like that. As far as what style and what approach they could make with the next Mario game, or the next 3D Mario game, though, I'm down with the idea of them taking the approach they did with Super Mario Odyssey or a Super Mario Odyssey 2, though. But at the same time, I wouldn't be against the idea of an actual open world Mario game, as we saw in Bowser's Fury, that was part of Super Mario 3D World, though. It was an interesting concept, and it definitely gave us an idea of what a open world Mario game could be like, though. I mean, if they wanted to fully expand upon that, that would be great. I would definitely be down with an open world Mario type of a game, though. But at the same time, I also would love to see maybe them expand upon, say, the Super Mario Galaxy. Galaxy 1 and 2 were great games, though. Galaxy 1, I love the music, especially music from the Bottleneck Galaxy, if I'm saying that correctly, and when the music when you were fighting Bowser and all. And Mario Galaxy 2 was also fun, especially with its difficulty, though. So I would be open to the idea if they were to do something like, say, Super Mario Galaxy 3 or Super Mario Universe, to be exact. Expand upon those games, though. But I definitely would be down with another Odyssey take, or a take similar to what we saw in Bowser's Fury. So there certainly is a lot of directions that they could go with the next 3D Mario game. But hey, nothing wrong with doing another 2D Mario game, though. If they do, I wouldn't mind them doing a New Super Mario Bros. Switch, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked New Super Mario Bros. U, but I felt like there was a missed opportunity to do a brand new Super Mario Bros. Game on the Nintendo Switch, though. So overall, though, I definitely am not against them taking the approach of making it the next 3D Mario game as accessible, though. I certainly don't think that's a bad thing. You want to reach out to as many people as possible. But at the same time, though, I'm hoping the next 3D Mario game will also provide some sort of a challenge. And the kind of difficulty we saw in games like New Super Mario Bros., Wii U, and Mario Galaxy 2. I'm not asking the difficulty to be on the level of, say, a Dark Souls or Souls-like game, though, but still provide some sort of challenge while still making the game accessible nevertheless. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4. And for this one, I want to give my thoughts on the Xbox Series X and S. This is the 1-year anniversary from when those systems came out, so we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 4th and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I want to give my thoughts on the Xbox Series X and S 1 year's anniversary, though. Now, Microsoft was going into the next generation with their system, Xbox Series X and S, not in a great position, though. Somewhat similar to the kind of situation Nintendo was with the Wii U. The Xbox One was not really as well received as Microsoft would have hoped for, and a lot of it had to do with a lot of the decision they pushed for, like the all-in-one TV and the idea of the whole DRM, and the Kinect issue really did not click with a lot of folks. In fact, when they revealed the Xbox One, it didn't sit very well with a lot of people who responded to it, to the point that Microsoft had to backtrack on some of the things, such as saying that you don't need a Kinect to access, access some of the stuff on Xbox One. There was also the whole issue of this claim of the government spying on you with the Kinect, though, to, the always online functionality and everything like that. It got to the point that some folks eventually left, and there were talks at the time that Microsoft was going to give up on the Xbox division altogether. Obviously, when Phil Spencer stepped in, he had to do what the best he could with, given the current situation Xbox was in that course. And he did what he did, though, and certainly put the Xbox One in a better position than it was when it originally launched, but nowhere near the level as to basically where the PS4 at the time was, which really made some decisions, though, that really was sort of a kick in the nuts to Xbox One, especially with the infamous used game situation, though. Going into the next generation, though, with Xbox Series X and S, though, it certainly was a tough spot, though. The system basically, though, it ran into several problems in 2020. First one was basically the trailer they showed of several of the games turned out to be just CGI trailers, and we didn't really show any gameplay despite what Microsoft was claiming. That got downvoted, though. The other issue was the pre-order situation, though, and while I will say the pre-order situation wasn't nearly as bad as, say, what Sony did with the PS5, which was a complete mess, though, some people still had a hard time trying to find an Xbox Series X and S, although I didn't have a problem finding an Xbox Series S when that launched, to be exact. I was able to pre-order that and get that system with ease, though. And then, of course, launching it around COVID-19 and a chip shortage situation didn't help the situation either, though. A lot of people were worried because of COVID, though, that would the system be able to launch, and is exact. But also the biggest one, also too, with all that stuff as well, was the delay of Halo Infinite, though. This was a game that was supposed to be the launch title for the Xbox Series X and S. It even went as far as putting the picture of Halo on some of the boxes for those who picked up the Xbox Series X and S, though. And, well, when the first gameplay footage was shown for it, at the time, the game got heavily criticized by some of its visuals and all, and not everyone was happy about it, though. Although, personally, I wasn't as bothered by it as much as some folks out there were. It got to the point that Phil Spencer announced that the game was going to be delayed and pushed into 2021. This was a very controversial decision for Microsoft to make, though. Not having their big launch title for their new system was just like if Nintendo was not going to launch Breath of the Wild with the Nintendo Switch, which I think that game may have helped when the Nintendo Switch launched, and the Switch is in probably the best position it's ever been all these years. Fast forward to right now, where 1 year anniversary, and I will say the situation for Microsoft is definitely better than it was during the Xbox One. While it doesn't seem to be overtaking the PS5, although it did do well in 1 month though, Microsoft, I will say, is in a better position than they were during the Xbox One era, thanks to the way things have been handled with the Xbox Series X and S. A lot of this has to do with 2021 saw a lot of really big launch titles for them, including games like Psychonauts 2 that was launched onto the Xbox Series X and S. Microsoft's Flight Simulator, though. Recently, Forza Horizon 5 has come out, and we're looking forward to Halo Infinite, though. A lot of their first-party studios are working on a lot of games, and it looks like they're pushing a lot of Western RPGs, as we've been seeing, especially since in 2020 they purchased Bethesda, which was like the biggest bombshell, or ZeniMax to be exact, which really I think that might have helped in some of the pre-orders for Xbox Series S and X, though. And of course, Game Pass. This is a service that Microsoft and Xbox and Phil Spencer have been pushing, though, and we've seen like a lot of the games appear on day one for Game Pass, and that I think may have helped the Xbox brand in general, though. And I will say now, the Xbox Series X and S is doing way better than what we thought. In fact, just recently we just learned that it's overtaken the Xbox One in Japan. It has surpassed that, though. I mean, maybe not on a level of surpassing the Switch, but it's doing much better in Japan than the Xbox One did. So I will say, looking at this generation, though, looking at the Xbox Series X and S, it's definitely has done much better than we had originally thought, though. I mean, for me, the Xbox Series S has been great. I've been enjoying Game Pass in general, though. Still somewhat iffy about the Netflix style of approach, though. But it does, however, give you... I still think the concept is still good for Game Pass, though. I like the idea of at least you'll be able to download and try the game out, though, before you decide if you want to spend your hard-earned money on it. And if you do, though, you get a discount in terms of buying the game. This is basically great, especially if you have an Xbox Series S like I do. I think Game Pass is a great combination for it, though. I will say one of the issues with the Xbox Series S is the storage situation, though. You don't have a huge amount of storage, unlike with the Xbox Series X that you do. And even with that storage, though, you still have to save room for some of its system operation, to the fact that some of these games may not be optimized as well, and it could eat up through your storage space. And while there are certain storage options like the SD card from Seagate, though, you could find yourself spending up to $200 for the 1 terabyte, and with the 2 terabyte coming, you might find yourself spending money almost close to what the Xbox Series X is, though. So storage, I will say, is somewhat of an issue, but that will depend on what kind of games you decide to get for your system, though. But I will say I've been enjoying my Xbox Series S more than I had originally had thought, even though my original idea was to treat it as a second console with a PS5, which I'm still have a hard time finding, as basically my main console and all. So it definitely has been much more enjoying it more than I originally thought. And Game Pass has been sort of really a great thing, as I'm able to try out games, including first-party games to be exact, that I never thought I would try out, to sort of give that one a go before I decide whether it's well worth the purchase or not. So I will say, over the 1 year anniversary of the Xbox Series X and S, though, I would say the X and S has done probably better. It certainly has been in a better spot than it was, I would say, than what the Xbox One has been, though. And I will say, with Phil Spencer pushing the Game Pass and xCloud, it's clear what direction Microsoft is seriously going with the Xbox brand in general. And I don't see that as a bad thing. The idea of they're bringing their games to the consoles, xCloud, and of course, PC to be exact. Though it certainly is a nice addition, and some of the games they put out have paid off. I mean, Psychonauts 2, it was a good game, and I could see that up for Game of the Year contender. Forza Horizon 5 is certainly getting a lot of positive buzz though. And the Halo Infinite, including both the multiplayer and the campaign, seems to be getting a positive response. We'll have to see how that game plays when it comes out in December. That game could be Game of the Year contender, but we will have to wait and see, though. Still a little curious about the campaign on that one, though, but I'm hoping to get my hands on it when especially comes to Game Pass. And of course, next year we'll probably see games like Stalker 2, to even the possibility of Starfield. That certainly is going to be very interesting. 2022 might be good for Microsoft, though. It might be good for the PS5 as well, though, if I could get my hands on a PS5. But overall, I have to say Xbox X and X, S and X have been doing really good, though. I like my Xbox Series S, though. It is a really good budget next-gen console, though. It may not have the kind of bells and whistles the Series X has, but I definitely like what Microsoft has done with it, though. And Game Pass has sort of been a blessing in a way. It's been a blessing to it, though, and it's really neat the direction Microsoft is going with the direction that they are going with, the X and S and gaming in general, though. I have treated my system as another system to own, much as I have with the Nintendo Switch. Each have their own different varieties of games, but I like the games that they have been putting out, though. I'm very curious to see how 2022 and beyond is going to play with Microsoft, though. Obviously, they're getting much serious in terms of acquisitions of studios. It's going to be interesting what those studios would put out, though. I am definitely looking forward to some of the games like Outer World 2, Evolve, if I'm saying the name correctly, from Obsidian, though. Starfield, somewhat on the fence still, though, but being that it's going to be on Game Pass is definitely a good thing, which is great. And hopefully we'll see more big Western RPGs and maybe more Japanese support, which I know they've mentioned they want to push more to bring more Japanese games over, which I think would be great. I hope they pull that off. But I would say my takeaway for the Xbox X and S is that I think Microsoft has certainly somewhat learned from their mistakes with the Xbox One and are definitely doing a better job with the Xbox Series X and S, though. And it'll be very interesting to see how they handle this generation going forward, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this rumor that Rockstar and Nintendo could be working together in terms of getting some of their games running on the Rage engine over to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this rumor is true? Do you think it's false? Do you think this could open the door to the possibility that that games like Grand Theft Auto 5, Max Payne, or even any other Red Dead Redemption games could make their way over to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about the possibility that the PS5 could be hacked? Are you surprised by this at all? Are you not surprised at all that the PS5 could be hacked in general and all? What are your thoughts about the idea of what direction Nintendo might go with the next 3D Mario game, though? Do you think they should continue making the game more accessible? Do you think they should follow the approach they did with Super Mario Odyssey? Or do you think they should go completely left field, though? Do you think they should make the game accessible? Do you think they should make the game possibly difficult on the same level as New Super Mario Bros. Wii U and Super Mario Galaxy 2? And what are your thoughts about the 1 year anniversary of Xbox Series X and S? Have you picked one up? Have you enjoyed the system? Do you agree with the direction Microsoft has been going with the Xbox Series X and S? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!